The baby's cry pierced through the chaos like a knife. Amara's hands trembled as she reached for the infant, her vision blurring from exhaustion. 16 hours. She'd been on her feet for 16 straight hours, and the neonatal ward had turned into a war zone. Alarms screamed from every direction. Machines beeped their urgent warnings. 3 nurses had called in sick, leaving her and one other exhausted colleague to manage 22 premature babies. The lights flickered. Once. Twice. Then darkness swallowed the room for 3 terrifying seconds before the emergency generators kicked in with a mechanical groan. In that brief moment of chaos, Amara made a mistake. A simple, innocent, exhausted mistake that would change her life forever. She picked up the wrong baby. The infant in her arms was crying desperately, his tiny face red with hunger. Without thinking, driven by maternal instinct and 16 hours of muscle memory, Amara lifted her shirt and began to breastfeed him. The baby latched immediately, his cries melting into soft, satisfied sounds. For a moment, peace returned to that corner of the ward. But in a security office 3 floors above, a camera had captured everything. And the man watching that footage was not the kind of man who believed in innocent mistakes. Amara stumbled through her apartment door at 3 in the morning, every bone in her body screaming for rest. Her own daughter, Zara, was asleep at her grandmother's house. The apartment felt hollow and cold. She barely had the energy to remove her shoes before collapsing onto the couch, still wearing her scrubs. Sleep claimed her instantly, deep and dreamless. She had no idea that across the city, in a mansion that looked more like a fortress, Jinho Park was receiving a phone call that would seal her fate. The Korean businessman was known publicly as a philanthropist, the founder of the Park Medical Foundation that funded hospitals across 3 continents. What the public didn't know was that his foundation was a perfect cover for money laundering, human trafficking, and arms deals that stretched from Seoul to Johannesburg. And someone had just touched his son. Min-suk replayed the footage for the 5th time, his cold eyes analyzing every frame. He was Jin-ho's right-hand man, his enforcer, the blade that cut down anyone who threatened the organization. And this African nurse, this tired woman in wrinkled scrubs, had done something suspicious. She'd picked up the boss's baby during a power outage and fed him from her own body. What was she looking for? Min-suk muttered to himself, freezing the frame. What did she see? His phone buzzed. Jin-ho's voice came through, sharp and commanding. The woman who touched my son. I want her brought to me. Now. Consider it done, sir. Min-suk smiled. It was not a pleasant smile. The next evening, Amara was walking to her car in the hospital parking lot, her mind already on Zara, on the story she'd promised to read before bed, on the groceries she still needed to buy. The parking lot was nearly empty, just a few scattered vehicles under the flickering streetlights. She was fishing her keys from her bag when she heard the engine. A black van appeared from nowhere, cutting across 2 parking spaces to block her path. Amara froze, her nurse's instinct screaming danger. The side door slid open with a metallic screech. Get in. The voice was cold, accented, absolutely certain. I don't understand. Who are you? Amara's voice shook. She took a step backward. 2 men emerged from the van. They wore expensive suits that looked completely out of place in the hospital parking lot. One of them grabbed her arm with a grip like iron. Please. Amara screamed, trying to pull away. I haven't done anything. Please. A cloth pressed against her face, and the chemical smell was the last thing she remembered before the world went black. When Amara woke, she was sitting in a chair in the middle of the most luxurious room she'd ever seen. Marble floors stretched in every direction. Crystal chandeliers hung from ceilings so high they seemed to touch the sky. But the beauty was cold, intimidating. This wasn't a home. It was a display of power. And that power was staring at her from across the room. Min-suk sat behind an ornate desk, his fingers steepled under his chin. 3 other men stood against the walls, their faces expressionless, their hands hidden in their jacket pockets in a way that made Amara's stomach turn. Do you know why you're here? Min-suk asked, his voice soft and dangerous. No. Amara's voice came out as a whisper. She cleared her throat and tried again. No, I don't. Please, there's been a mistake. I'm just a nurse. I have a daughter. She needs me. A nurse. Min-suk smiled the terrible smile again. Yes. A nurse who fed the wrong baby 2 nights ago. During a very convenient power outage. Amara's blood ran cold. The baby. The chaos of that night came flooding back. That was an accident, she said quickly. I was exhausted. 16 hours on shift. The lights went out and I picked up the wrong infant. I didn't mean to. I would never hurt a child. Never. Hurt. Min Suk stood, walking slowly around the desk. Is that what you think concerns us? That you might have hurt him? I don't understand. No, you don't. He was close now, too close. Amara could smell his expensive cologne. But you will tell us everything. What you saw, who sent you, what you were really looking for in that ward. No one sent me. I wasn't looking for anything. Please, you have to believe me. Min Suk's hand shot out, gripping her chin and forcing her to look at him. I don't have to believe anything. You have one chance to tell the truth. After that, he released her roughly. Well, you won't like what happens after that. He left the room, and the door locked behind him with a sound like a coffin closing. Amara was alone with the three silent men, and the weight of her terror pressed down on her chest until she could barely breathe. Hours passed, or maybe it was days. In that beautiful prison, Amara lost track of time. The men didn't speak. They didn't move. They just watched her with dead eyes until she felt like screaming just to break the silence. Then she heard voices in the hallway. Angry voices, speaking rapid Korean. She couldn't understand the words, but she understood the tone. Accusation, denial, threat. The door opened briefly, and Amara caught fragments of the argument. The timing was too perfect, Min Suk. The power outage, the switch, everything. I'm telling you, she knows something. She has too. Or you're seeing conspiracies where there are none. The boss's paranoia is making you reckless. The door slammed shut again, but Amara's mind was racing. Switch. What switch? What were they talking about? That night, or what she assumed was night, the door opened quietly. A young man slipped inside, carrying a tray of food. He was different from the others, his face softer, his eyes holding something that might have been compassion. Eat, he said in accented English, setting the tray on a small table. You need strength. Amara stared at him. Who are you? My name is Dae-yun. I'm nobody important. He glanced at the door nervously. But I know you didn't do what they think you did. Then tell them. Please, tell them I'm innocent. It's not that simple. Dae-yun crouched beside her chair, his voice dropping to a whisper. You walked into something that was already happening. A war inside this organization. There are people who want to take the boss's place, and they needed the baby to disappear. Amara felt her world tilt. Disappear? You mean, they were going to switch the boss's real son with another baby? Take the real heir and raise him in secret, then use him as leverage years from now. Or kill him. I'm not sure which. Dae-yun's hands were shaking. But you fed the baby that night. During the power outage. During the exact window they planned to make the switch. Now Min Suk thinks you either ruined their plan or you're part of a rival faction. But I didn't do anything. I didn't see anything. I know. But they don't believe you. And Min Suk. Dae-yun's voice dropped even lower. Min Suk is the traitor. He's the one planning to take the baby. And now he's going to kill the child and frame you for it. Then you both disappear, and he steps into the boss's position when Jin-ho goes mad with grief. The room spun. Amara thought of her own daughter, of Zara's smile, of how she'd do anything to protect her. And now they were telling her a baby was going to die because of politics and power and greed. No, Amara said, her voice suddenly strong. No, I won't let that happen. Dae-yun looked at her with surprise. What? That baby? Where is he? In the East Wing. But you can't. I'm a mother. Amara stood, her exhaustion forgotten, replaced by something fiercer. I've spent 10 years protecting children. I'm not going to stop now just because these monsters scare me. Take me to him. They'll kill us both. Then we'd better not get caught. If you're enjoying this story, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss our next thrilling tale. Now, let's see if Amara can pull off the impossible. Dae-yun stared at her for a long moment, then slowly nodded. The guards changed shifts in 20 minutes. That's our window. The mansion was a maze of corridors and closed doors. Dae-yun led Amara through passages she didn't know existed, servant hallways hidden behind decorative panels, staircases that descended into darkness. Her heart hammered against her ribs with every step. Every shadow looked like a guard. Every sound was a death sentence waiting to drop. There, Dae-yun whispered, pointing to a door at the end of a dimly lit hallway. The baby's in there. 2 guards outside. How do we get past them? I'll create a distraction. When they move, you run. Grab the baby and head for the service exit at the end of this corridor. It leads to the old wine cellar, then to the gardens. There's a gap in the fence near the eastern wall. What about you? Don't worry about me. Just save that child. Dae-yeon pressed something into her hand. A phone. If you make it out, call the number programmed in here. It's the boss's private line. Tell him everything. It's the only way either of us survives this. Before Amara could respond, Dae-yeon was gone, running down an adjacent hallway while shouting in Korean. The guards outside the baby's room immediately gave chase, their footsteps thundering away. Amara ran. She burst through the door into a nursery that looked like something from a fairy tale. A hand-carved crib sat in the center, surrounded by toys that probably cost more than her annual salary. And in that crib, sleeping peacefully, was the baby she'd fed 2 nights ago. "I've got you," Amara whispered, scooping him up. The baby stirred but didn't cry. "I've got you, little one. We're getting out of here." She ran. Through the service exit, down stone stairs that seemed to go on forever, through the wine cellar with its racks of bottles worth more than houses. The baby started to fuss, and Amara pressed him against her chest, humming softly the way she did for Zara. Behind her, alarms began to wail. "Find them." Min-suk's voice echoed through the mansion, distorted by rage. "The woman has the baby. Find them now." Amara burst into the gardens, the night air hitting her like a slap. She could see the eastern wall, could see the gap Dae-yeon had mentioned. Freedom was 50 feet away. 40. 30. Lights flooded the garden, bright as noon. Amara froze, blinded. "Stop right there." Min-suk stepped into view, a gun in his hand. Behind him, 6 armed men formed a semicircle, cutting off any escape. "You've been very troublesome, nurse. I almost admire it. Let me go," Amara said, her voice steady despite her terror. "This baby has nothing to do with your power games. He's innocent." "Innocent?" Min-suk laughed. "He's a weapon, a tool, a means to an end. And you, unfortunately, became another tool I have to dispose of." He raised the gun. A shot rang out. But it wasn't Min-suk who fired. One of his own men dropped, blood blooming across his chest. The others spun, confused, as more shots came from the darkness beyond the lights. Then Jin-ho Park stepped into view, and the temperature in the garden seemed to drop 10 degrees. The boss was not a large man, but power radiated from him like heat from a fire. Behind him, 20 armed guards fanned out, their weapons trained on Min-suk's men. "Min-suk," Jin-ho said softly. "My most trusted lieutenant. My right hand. My friend for 15 years." He walked closer, each step measured and deliberate. "Tell me it isn't true. Tell me you weren't planning to take my son." Min-suk's face twisted with rage and fear. "You've gotten soft, Jin-ho. Weak. This organization needs strong leadership, not a man who cries over a baby." "That baby is my son." Jin-ho's voice didn't rise, but everyone in the garden felt the fury behind it. "My heir. My blood. And you thought you could take him from me. I thought I could take everything from you." Min-suk swung his gun toward Amara and the baby. He never got the shot off. Jin-ho moved faster than Amara thought possible, closing the distance and gripping Min-suk's wrist. There was a sickening crack. The gun fell. Then Jin-ho drew his own weapon and fired once, directly into Min-suk's heart. The traitor dropped without a sound. Silence fell over the garden, broken only by the baby's soft whimpers. Jin-ho turned to Amara, and she braced herself for the same fate. But the boss simply held out his arms. "My son. Give him to me." Amara's hands shook as she handed over the baby. Jin-ho cradled the infant with surprising gentleness, his hard face softening as he looked down at the child. "You saved him," Jin-ho said, not looking up. "When you could have run. When you had every reason to only think of yourself. You stayed and fought for a child who wasn't yours." "I'm a mother," Amara said simply. "And I'm a nurse. I protect children. It's what I do." Jin-ho finally looked at her, and Amara saw something unexpected in his eyes. "Respect. Dae-yeon told me everything. The truth about Min-suk's betrayal. About how you were just an exhausted nurse who made an innocent mistake." He handed the baby to one of his guards, then stepped closer to Amara. "I could kill you. You've seen too much. You know too much." "I know," Amara whispered. "But I won't." You saved my son when you had no reason to. You showed more honor than men who've served me for decades. Jin-ho reached into his jacket, and Amara tensed, but he only pulled out an envelope. There's money in here. Enough to take your daughter and disappear if you're smart. Enough to live comfortably if you're careful. He pressed it into her hands. Go home, Amara. Kiss your daughter. Live your life. But pray that our worlds never cross again. Because next time, I may not be so grateful. Amara took the envelope with numb fingers. What about Dae-yun? He'll be rewarded for his loyalty. Now go. Before I change my mind. The eastern wall's gap was still there. Amara walked through it on shaking legs, the envelope clutched against her chest, not daring to look back. She walked through the streets as dawn began to break, the city waking up around her, oblivious to the life and death drama that had just unfolded. By the time she reached her apartment, the sun was fully up. Her hands were still trembling as she unlocked the door. Her grandmother was there with Zara, making breakfast, and the normalcy of it almost broke her. Mama. Zara ran to her, and Amara caught her daughter in her arms, holding her so tight the little girl squeaked in protest. I missed you, baby, Amara whispered into Zara's hair. I missed you so much. That night, after Zara was asleep, Amara opened the envelope. There was enough money to pay off her debts, to move to a better neighborhood, to give Zara the life she'd always dreamed of. But every bill felt heavy with the weight of what she'd seen, what she'd done, what she'd survived. She thought about the baby, safe now with his father. She thought about Dae-yun, who'd risked everything to help her. She thought about Min-suk, dead in that garden, consumed by ambition and greed. And she thought about herself, just an exhausted nurse who'd made one tiny mistake that had nearly cost her everything. Amara walked to her window and looked out at the city lights. Somewhere out there, the Korean Mafia was still operating, still dangerous, still deadly. But she was alive. Zara was safe. And tomorrow, she'd go back to work, back to saving babies, back to the life she'd almost lost. She'd survived something impossible, and that made her stronger than she'd ever been before. The exhaustion was still there. It always would be. But now it was mixed with something else. Pride, courage, the knowledge that when pushed to the absolute limit, she'd found strength she never knew existed. Amara closed the curtain and turned away from the window. Tomorrow would come soon enough. Tonight, she just wanted to sleep in her own bed, in her own home, free. And if nightmares came, well, she'd survived worse than nightmares. If this story kept you on the edge of your seat, don't forget to leave a comment below telling us what you'd do in Amara's situation. Would you have run, or would you have fought to save that baby? Hit that like button and subscribe for more incredible stories that'll leave you speechless. Trust me, you don't want to miss what we have coming next. Until then, stay safe, stay strong, and remember that sometimes the most ordinary people are capable of extraordinary courage.